Newsfirst, face to face with Mariam Gunvijaya.
A very good evening. You're watching a face-to-face on TV1, where we dive deeper into Sri Lanka's political arena. I'm Mariam Gunvijaya, and our guest this evening is attorney at law Nuwan Bopage, who also represents the Frontline Socialist Party. A very good evening to you, Mr. Bopage, and welcome on the show. Before we start off, I'd also like to wish you a very happy new year.
I wish you the same.
Now, 2024 seems to be a very big year for Sri Lanka. It's an election year according to the constitution of the country. And then on the other hand, we have the police chief, the acting inspector general of police, and the public security minister, who are implementing Operation Yuktiya to ensure that crime in the country is reduced in the next 6 months. Then we have also authorities who have assured economic recovery for our country. So seems like we have a big year ahead of us. So I'd like to start off by touching up a little bit about the acting IGP and his Operation Yuktiya. Now, Sri Lanka has been making headlines because of this Operation Yuktiya in the recent past. Do you think the acting IGP has a clear strategy when it comes to security challenges in the country?
In fact, the direct answer is no. Why I am saying that, even previous experience we have prior to all the elections, they tried to portray a picture that the LTT going to start their missions once again. Likewise, these kind of pictures have been portrayed throughout the history prior to the election. Likewise, we have seen the same thing just before the appointment of IGPs. These kind of missions they have done previously as well, because according to law, Constitutional Council has to approve the name for IGP. That's what Constitution says. Now this time, for the first time of the history, this appointment was made because the Constitutional Council initially refused to approve this name, Deshabandha Tennakoon's name. Thereafter, the President Ranil Wickremesinghe appointed him as an acting IGP. Now he has 3 months period of time. So they have now what they are going to justify. He is the ideal person to be the IGP. In order to give that justification, to show that there is a public support also with them, they have suddenly started this mission. So our experience as lawyers, you can't stop drug trafficking and these incidents like these. It's a well-rooted thing, and there's a big network. So overnight, by making these kind of missions, you can find who are addicted to drugs or the lower layer. But it's a well-organized network, so you can't do that. So
but they are saying that they are going to use this mission to catch the big fish also, no?
Yeah, of course, we also like, but you need not to have this kind of sudden mission to do that. So gradually you have to do it. It might be 2-3 years mission. So our understanding is very clear. These kind of missions, they are just going to justify the appointment of acting IGP. So the worst situation is, in the guise of this mission, there are grave violations of fundamental rights. So our criminal law based on presumption of innocence. So until your guilt is proven before court, everybody is innocent. In order to satisfy whether that presumption is work properly, the Constitution, in terms of the Article 13 of the Constitution, and at the same time the Criminal Procedure Code, the Section 23 says, if you are going to arrest a person, you have to give the reasoning why you are arresting. At the same time, in terms of dangerous drugs ordinance, you have to get a permission of the court if you are going to search a special place. So these provisions are there just to assure the fundamental rights guaranteed by the Constitution is the most paramount important thing. So violating all these things, they are mindful about the number. In the evening, the media, we can see today 11,000, yesterday, tomorrow 13,000, likewise. So they are only concerned about the number. But beyond that, the fundamental rights of the people are the most important thing. So they are gravely violating that. At the same time, they are going to, the flats and certain places that actually most poor segment of the society is living. So of course there are some places without drug you can't live. That kind of economic due to the economic situation, people are, even without drugs now, like addicted people because of this tension. So in a situation like that, now 1st of January the VAT has been increased. After that, now people are living under very severe condition. So in a situation like that, they are imposing much pressure on the people by these kind of operations. So at the same time, they are going to labeling the lawyers and others who are opposing for these fundamental right violation. They are supporters of drug traffickers. So once again, these countries actually the people fought, and we are always struggling to have a more democratic country. So now once again we are going back because these fundamental rights and other concepts have been developed throughout the history as a struggle of the progressive people. Now we are going to barbaric society once again due to these kind of missions carrying out by the political and for their political and other ulterior motives.
Just like you mentioned, there are so many critics raising concerns about how Operation Yuktiya has been violating human rights. About a week ago, there was an incident, I'm not sure if you saw, it went viral on social media, where 2 police officers were attempting to arrest a suspect, and he was screaming, saying, let go of my neck, I will not run away, I will stand up and I will, you all can do whatever, but please let go of my neck. And this particular incident went viral on social media. How do you think the authorities can ensure due process while respecting human rights and achieving the objectives of their operation?
Yeah, in addition to the legal provisions, there are a series of cases which our Supreme Court and other superior courts have given. There's a case called Amal Sudanta Silva case. In that case, Supreme Court has specifically said a particular person can be a very registered criminal, but it doesn't say that police can act or touch his body contrary to the law. So that's a fundamental thing. That's why the section 23 says prior to arrest a person, you have to give reasoning. There must be a search warrant. So these provisions are there because if something has happened against a particular person's liberty, so that is that there are far-reaching consequences. So therefore, it's very important to protect the fundamental rights of the people. Then, according to law, you can do anything.
So how can we do that?
So of course, now what even the worst thing is the recent statement of Minister Alas. But he said he indicated that they are even ready to go for extrajudicial killings. That's what they say. That he indicated that if somebody is going against us, we know how to handle that. So that now the police and other security forces are concerned. People ultimately pay. So they are because they are responsible. They are accountable to the citizens of the country. So you can't go beyond that. So for a moment, I am not saying this. Some people are saying the rule of law is the most important thing. But now, VAT Act is concerned, only 100 members of the parliament adopted that law. Then 22 million people now suffering because of that. So merely because that parliament adopted a particular law, you can't say that is a rule of law. If law is bad, of course, people have a right to fight against that. Now, this particular Minister Alas said that now they are going to bring Online Safety Act as well. So when you go through the sections one by one, it's a grave violation of fundamental rights of freedom of expression of the people. So merely because it has been passed by this particular parliament, which just doesn't have a mandate of the people, we can't say that that's the law. So that's a rule of law. So for a moment, I am not saying that the rule of law is the most important thing. But there are certain laws like fundamental rights, certain acts, criminal procedure code, evidence ordinance. So these laws have been developed because of protracted struggles of the history. The people sacrificed their lives to change these liberal democratic concepts. So therefore, at least they have to respect these kind of laws, actually dignity of the people. So he might be a very poor person, he might be a registered criminal, but still as a human being, he has a inalienable dignity. So that dignity must be secured as a society.
Right. Now, just like you mentioned, fundamental rights, I think, is a very important aspect and factor for all people in our country, and I'm sure across the world as well. And the word Aragalaya is still in the minds and mouths of so many people. I think one of the main themes of Aragale that you were quite involved in as well was for the system to change. Do you think the system has changed? Do you think there is no corruption in the country anymore?
No, actually, ultimate objective of the Aragale was system change.
Yeah.
But halfway through, with the intervention of the Ranil Wickremesinghe and after appointment as the president, it has been dissolved, and there was a huge suppression over the Aragale. Thereafter, actually, it has been dissolved. But what, as you correctly pointed out, the main objective was the Aragale was the system change. In order to change the system, there was a program. In 2022, July 1st of July, it has been launched at the goal phase. According to the program of the Aragale, they suggested to have a interim body instead of this particular parliament, with the participation of the people's councils and members of the Aragale, have an interim body. Through that interim body, to introduce a new constitution. That constitution to expand the fundamental rights and how to handle these things like that corruptions. At the same time, to bring the concepts like right to recall. So what the Aragale says, this representative democracy is now anymore it's not workable. This parliament is concerned. You might agree with me. So what is happening there in the parliament? Ultimately, people couldn't get anything out of that. Whatever laws, whatever decisions have been taken by this parliament throughout against the mandate of the people. That's a reality.
Yeah.
So now this representative democracy is a mockery. So instead of that, Aragale suggested participatory democracy. How the people to intervene the decision-making process. For example, farmers should have opportunity to participate in the decision-making process regarding the farmers. Students must have that opportunity to make sure these particular policies are favorable to them. At the same time, workers in this country and other marginalized people. So there must be a process in respect of participatory democracy. This is the concept which Aragale introduced during the goal phase Aragale. But we were unable to meet that targets because of the suppression, but still the people are fighting for that. All over the country there are people's council, they are fighting their day-to-day life, so they are trying to interfere with this decision-making process and participate to that. So I think there is we were unable to come to an end of those objectives, but still the people are fighting for that. I think instead of this so-called representative democracy, we have to build up participatory democracy. Through that, we have to expand the democracy. People like certain against the feudal system. When we come to this capitalist system, people like Rousseau, they introduce this liberal democracy. Now we have to find way to go beyond that. So now instead of that liberal democracy, we have to go more valuable concept we have to inculcate through the participatory democracy. Through that only we can change the proper system change. I don't think through the election only we can't do that, because the people's mandate and on the social contract theory, we have to change to a new era. So I think we have to work hard for that. Elections are also very important. We don't know whether this Ranil Wickremesinghe, even though you said that it's an election year, still I have a doubt, because when his history and his party's history is concerned, he might postpone it again. So, but as far as the challenge in front of us is concerned, people have a duty. Rather than going to the pool and just vote and come home, we have to make a new system for day-to-day life as to how we practice our democratic rights.
What do you suggest that system is?
Of course, now historically we have such experience. In Russia there were Soviets, in India there was a panchayat system, when you go to Switzerland there's a canton system. Likewise, we have that experience all over the world, previous experience. Likewise, we have to bring, that's why the Aragale suggested people's council system. So day-to-day life, people are participating for decision-making process. That is the ideal way. Now you are working as a journalist. So when we think about journalism in Sri Lanka, whether you have freedom, when you do work, whether you have that dignity in the society. So when we now there is an online safety bill As a journalist, you might have a concerns. But this particular parliament just passing these laws. There's no consultation process. So in a situation like that, we have to build up a system, people to participate in this decision making process. So that is the ideal system we expect. So we have to fight for that. I think that is the ultimate objective of the Aragale.
And now you mentioned about the VAT that comes through the new budget for the country. When you spoke about factors and factions that can be involved when making these particular decisions, what do you think should be involved with the VAT? Because according to a lot of people in the country, it's a very unfair increase.
Of course, yeah. From 1st of January, it has been increased to 18%. So, you know, because of that, the price of the goods and services have been increased for around 20%. And on the other hand, the affected segment of the society was around 68% of the society, lower and middle class people. So they are only actually most affected people due to this thing. So you know, they are after the 2022 economic crisis, their lifestyle has been drastically gone down. So according to recent research, 47% of the people in this country now only taking only 2 meals per day. So that's the existing situation. We over the head of that, now they brought new act regarding the VAT increment. So now with that, they are expecting to increase the government revenue for 401,027 billion. So what ultimately what they are saying, the 70% of the revenue they are utilizing to pay foreign debts. That's what they are saying. So as far as foreign debts are concerned, who asked them to borrow this money? For last 20 years, Ranil Wickremesinghe, Mahinda Rajapaksa, and same people only rule this country. So they only borrowed this money. Now they are asking people to pay that. So how unreasonable that? Ultimately now people, especially the young generation is concerned, now the lack of protein, the actual results of this economic crisis we will be experiencing with another 10 years. Because you know the now around 27% of families, their parents, they are not taking meals just to give that meals to their children. That's a reality. So with this VAT increment, now people are suffering a lot. Because not because of their issue, because they are working. Our working class is current. There are 8.5 million working class. Now they are working for the country. They are working for the sake of their life. But at the same time, because of these bad decisions taken by the politicians, now they are suffering. So we need a just and equitable economy and people-oriented economy. At the same time, because of this social disparity, only people are suffering. At the same time, there are multimillionaires who didn't pay VAT, and actually they were not paying taxes. So that if they recovered that money, that is sufficient to pay the government servants.
But how practical do you think that is?
Of course, because of this now, some people are going to say that the Ranil Wickremesinghe is the savior, but he's a savior not for the people, for that special segment around 5% of the society. So no action whatsoever had been taken to recover that money. So at the same time, now today there is a huge protest in front of Ceylon Electricity Board. At the same time, now if they want to increase the revenue of the country, Sri Lanka Telecom, the 1 year, the 2022, their profit was 5,000 billion rupees, their profit. And Sri Lanka Insurance as well. Now they are going to sell that. If they want to increase the revenue, you have to keep this with them. And the you know, the fuel distribution, they sold it to India and China. So that's one of the way that the government revenue can be increased. So at the same time, while they are selling whatever profitable ventures of the government, at the same time they are giving the burden to the people. So at the same time, now once again they are relying upon the foreign debt, IMF debt, rather than increasing the production of the country and recovering these unpaid taxes. Now once again they are going to foreign debts. So therefore this Ranil Wickremesinghe doesn't have any solution for this economic crisis. Once again, we have come back to the people. We have to get the opinion of the people, opinion of the working class. Working class should be given an opportunity to participate the decision decision-making
So,
process.
Mr. Bopage, don't you think an election is very important for us at this time? Because what are the reforms you would propose to strengthen the electoral system in the country?
Yeah, of course. As far as the one side of the democracy is concerned, election is very important.
Yeah.
So that's
So
a
that
one.
we can finally have a leader who comes through the people's mandate.
But the problem is with this crisis, you can manipulate the election result as well. Throughout, you know, at the starting point, I said they know how to plant new concepts, how to plant certain strategies. Through that, they know how to change the mindset of the people. So election is just like throughout the history, that's how they attracted the people's mindset. So election is important as far as the one side of democracy, but I don't think the entire system can be changed only through the elections. We have to train people to exercise their democratic life throughout the life, not only the day of the election. Now people think day which you go to the election center and give you an election, that is the way of your exercising your democracy. What we are actually inviting to people, that is not the only way to exercise your democratic right. Day to day life, you have to exercise your democratic right. Otherwise, like what happened now, they rule the country for 5 years with their whims and fancies, not for the sake of the people.
Right, that was our discussion with attorney at law Nuwan Bopage on Face to Face for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Bopage. And with that, we wrap up Face to Face for tonight. Thank you very much for watching. Good night and take care.